in terms of this middle third, I really do. I really would like to see Sam Coffey continue to get some more time, within the rotation of the midfield. I want to see, in terms of the front line, I would like to see Trinity Rodman continue to get minutes. I'm just, because for me, I think in the lens in which I'm taking a look at these games, like I said, these are the 2 games to close out 2022. This team is already on the go. Like the coaching staff and everyone involved in the preparation for the World Cup, like it's happening. Like there's no looking back and things like that. I mean, what's coming after these 2 friendlies is this next group of players is going to go to New Zealand in January. So I really do feel like, not necessarily that this is a bit of a pressure cooker situation in terms of going up against Germany, but I really do feel like this is the last set of games that some players have an opportunity to really leave a lasting impression on the coaching staff, because coming out or leading into this international windows, the media availabilities with somebody like an Adanovsky, who has constantly been asked about injured players, like this coaching staff is not losing sight of that. Eventually these players are going to be reintegrated back into the pool of players who are preparing for the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. And some of those players apparently are going to be ready to go come that January camp. So like we're going to have a different rotation of players being rotated in and rotated out. So I am looking at these 2 Germany friendlies as a little bit of a last chance, the last push for players to make sure that their names are still going to be relevant in the buildup to this 2023 World Cup.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're exactly right. And I think that's where it comes into that balancing act that we were talking about, right? We're going to see some consistent faces out there, but then I think we are going to see some rotation, at least potentially if it's not the first game, the second game. And then how do you make the most of that opportunity?
Yeah. Anyone else in the midfield core or attacking line that you guys really want to see get some extended minutes over these next 2 games?
I think Coffey, that's a great shout. I want to see her get time against big powerhouse team like Germany, because that's a player that's been called in pretty consistently now. And we saw her go on a great run with Portland. So let's see what she can do. Let's see what she can do against some different questions that Germany is going to throw at this team, especially between the first and the second game, right? I think that we'll see, not knowing how the first game is going to go for Germany, I think that they're going to try different things in the second match to how they can ask more questions of the United States. So it's not just getting minutes in one match for Coffey, but getting her minutes in both of these games, and consistent minutes. I think that this is a player that can really vie for that defensive midfield role. And if there's a double pivot in there, it's got to be Coffey and Sullivan slotting into that role. But in the midfield, Coffey's one that I really want to see get time and consistent time.
Yeah, I'm with you. How about in the attack at all?
Laura, what do you think?
Yeah, listen, I would like to see, we saw Smith play as the 9 last couple matches, international break, and then, Trinity getting the start on the right wing, but now Malpew back. I would be curious about that front 3. I mean, talk about an excellent. I mean, obviously Alex Morgan's back too and had a wonderful season in the NWSL with San Diego. So it presents just like some questions on what Black was looking for in each match, right, and where they feel like there's an advantage. But yeah, I would very much like to see in this match going with this first one, Smith, Rodman, and Malpew.
Ooh, talk about the transitional game.
Yeah, but like honestly, it doesn't even not even has to be transitional. Those, I mean, you get a Smith who no doubt can hold up the ball centrally. Same with Malpew. We just talked about her floating in the midfield. One of the things we know about Rodman is her ability to receive the ball wide and take on 1v1. So on that side, that can look a little bit different. Then all of a sudden you have like a different, issues that are presented to Germany in a different way, right? You have an inverted almost winger on the left side with Malpew, and then a winger that could potentially stay a bit wider at times on the right side. So it all of a sudden, like, again, you don't have to think about it as, we don't have to necessarily think about it always as formations. It's just a fluidity and understanding. But yeah, I've been thinking about that this week. I would love to see that. That dynamic up top.
I'm with you.
And it's not so much about the formations as you're saying, because it's what these players do in that role that they're given, and how that causes problems for the opposition. I mean, yeah, I would love to see a Smith, Pugh, Rodman front line. I don't think we're going to see it, though. I think that we're going to see a little bit more consistency with Morgan back in there. I think it'll be Smith, Morgan, Pugh.
Don't put that out here.
Try to manifest it. Let's try to manifest
it. We're not going to see it. I think we could see it.
I mean, I would love to see
Alex back in too.
Listen, I think that's something that
I want to see it.
I think that's a combination that that any European side would be like should quiver in their cleats about it. You know, I think that could present something to a German side that they are unprepared for in terms of the, you know, technical ability on the ball by any three of those players. So I would love to see that. I'm with you, Laura. I'm hopeful for it. Let's try to manifest that and see that we see like a front trio of Pugh, Smith, and Rodman against the German side, kind of giving them fits. It's tough though, just because of these games, where they are and where they're falling in the calendar year and in preparation for the World Cup, that whole, you know, striking the whole balance of continuity while also still trying to get some last minute evaluations in. But you know, I think we saw a little bit like just snippets of seeing somebody like a Rodman and a Smith going up against a team like England, you know, and or a team like Spain. So I just I would, you know, maybe it's just a little bit of a taste that they got, and who knows, maybe there was enough there, you know, for the coaching staff to humor that, maybe even humor that a little bit, shades of that in these two friendlies against Germany. Let's, you know, we're always rooting for chaos here, right? on attacking third. So I mean, who knows? Let's maybe continue to root for that a little bit more. I mean, with this first game in Florida, you know, weather watch, I think, is something that we haven't talked about on the show. Maybe we'll close out with that. You know, nothing says, you know, seasonal change or ringing in the holidays than, you know, rainy weather in South Florida, right? Like that's how you know it's fall and winter. But I believe it's a tropical storm warning right now in terms of like the overall forecast. Might be some wind and stuff like that. So that there's a very interesting, you know, extra component to take into consideration with these two games too. Like how are these two teams going to fare, and perhaps potential like, you know, rainy or possibly like windy kind of conditions. So that's something that could maybe lead to some interesting scenarios on the pitch. I think. I know it's something that we will be keeping an eye on, and I know it's something that they're all keeping an eye on in Florida as well. So I don't know. We'll see. Team Chaos. Does anybody want to feel brave and put a score line on things here for this first game against Germany in Fort Lauderdale?
I mean, I don't really. I have no clue.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Like, honestly, no. I don't want to do that at all, Sandra.
I mean, I don't even. I think I am pumped for this match, though. I think I love both of these teams, and I think that they can present problems for one another in a really great way. But I think it could. Yeah, I think it could also be a really even match. You know,
I think it could be a draw.
Yeah.
Somebody be brave. I'll go. I guess it's got to be me. I'll go first. I could see this being a draw.
Yeah.
I could see the first game being a draw. I could see it's like it's the first of two friendlies, right? They're feeling each other out a little bit. I do think, you know, there might be some conditions that come into play, right? In terms of weather, who knows how the ball will be moving. You know, if there is a certain element of wind.
Tropical storm.
Yeah, if there is an element of wind, or if there's an added element of rain, right? You know, that could maybe make things, you know, kind of interesting in terms of ball movement. So I think, yeah, like maybe it could be kind of like one of those narrow score lines and kind of end up in a draw. I don't want to see a 0-0, but I wouldn't be shocked that maybe like a 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, a draw is definitely possible, but 1-1, I'm not going 0-0, right? Like I think we'll see some type of goals in this. I mean, especially if we get the front line that we're wishing and hoping for with Rodman, Smith, Pugh, like there's a goal.
We might even get some called back.
I definitely think there's going to be some goals. I think when you look at these two teams, I think at times it might even open up. It could be transitional in moments as well. And I might have said this at the top of the show, but this, without Gavin back there, I'm just getting my notes out. But one of the biggest things with Germany and the Euros was how they were going to deal with transitional moments. I mean, listen, they did a really good job because their front players put so much pressure. They regained possession. And I don't want to take anything away from the back line because they did an exceptional job, especially with all the question marks around in the Euros. But I do think, I mean, the one thing that I always am constantly amazed with our group is just even though it's been like this for so long, is the depth. I mean, we were talking about these, like the lineup that we're going with up top. I'm like, this is just mean. It's just feels very mean. Like, and so I think that is an area that like we can really always get after teams, but potentially this German team, because if there is an aspect that I think that they are vulnerable, it would be in the back, especially if we can break lines quickly.